We have Scott Snowden, who is a partner at Flywheel Strategic. We have Todd Knowlton, CEO of Smooth Fusion. We have Dean Schuster, who is the owner at TrueMatter, and Lino Tadros, co-founder and CEO at, and I hope I pronounced this right, Tohubu. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Yes, as Sarah mentioned, we're going to talk about some empathy in your digital experience. Collectively, we represent the Proven Alliance, an amalgamation, an alignment of some of the leading Sitefinity partners that collaborate a lot on some of the projects that we deliver, as well as some of our own independent engagements. So Sarah did some great introductions for us already. I won't repeat that. We will get into our content and our discussion that we have set up for you today. So I'm going to steal Neil's little trick. Who's still awake? All right, because this format is also meant to be a little bit more interactive. We are actually asking for the audience to be vocal, and it's a bit of a choose your own adventure. So you get to also put us on the spot to a certain degree. We've got 4 topics that we're going to get into with this discussion, and exactly what we talk about is going to be driven to a certain extent by everybody in the room here. So we're going to cover human-centered design, the role of AI in these digital journeys. It's a hot topic today. Craft and craftsmanship, and then what we're seeing as we're looking forward into the future of digital experiences. So we're going to get right into human-centered design. We've got a couple of options for us to discuss here. So we're going to ask people to just kind of vote for A, B, or C on the slide deck. There's a lot that we could talk about, not enough time to go into depth on everything. So if you want to know anything more about what we have to say, you'll have to wrestle the mic away from me, but you can also come up to us later and continue these conversations. So who's interested in knowing more about what does empathy actually look like? Who's interested in when did user research upend your assumptions? Where do we most often miss the human perspective? I tell you, if you're an advocate here for one of these questions, you're going to get a lot of influence around what we talk about. So who's in for A? Well, we got 2 votes. B, 3 at the back. Oh, B, 4. All right, C. All right, Dean. Where do we most often miss the human perspective, Dean?
All right, this is great because this is my favorite one too. So we miss the. By the way, my name's Dean. TrueMatter's a UX company, so I'm doing UX all day, every day with development teams. Okay, how do we miss human perspective? We miss human perspective when we're in a hurry. We miss human perspective when our budget is strained. And we miss human perspective when we do all the things we do from a raw internal perspective for lots of great reasons, like ROI, like advancing technology, like not falling behind. When we do those things, almost all the time, we fail to hit the human perspective because the air quotes human perspective is the first one that gets shoved out the door, that gets stomped on, because we can't always attach it to something technical or whatever. And it's always going to come back to bite us. So when new technologies come out, I'm hearing a lot about this AI thing today. When new technologies come out, almost always the human perspective lags behind it. So have you ever done a chatbot conversation or a nice IVR with your health insurance company?
Sorry, I'm Canadian.
Did you love it? Was it awesome? Was it everything you could hope for and more? Okay. It's lagging. So we miss the human perspective when those 3 things are happening, and we're always doing those 3 things. So we miss it a lot.
All right, I'll give you a bonus answer, Dean. The second most popular question was, when did user research upend your assumptions? I know that user research part is part of the process at TrueMatter. Got any reflections on that one?
Yeah, so every single time. That's a really interesting question in that I can't think of one time that user research or trying to get insight into human behavior or what people really do or just talking to people, spending time with them, didn't change something we were going to do in a project, and often something very large. So missing the human perspective means a lot. So for us, it just means user research could be so much. It could be just literally spending time with people. But when I think of it, I just think of what people do. I don't really care about what they think, believe it or not. I don't really care about their opinions. I just want to know what they do. And that's amazing because that's data, right? That's really good. We just need lots of multivariate sources of data. Qualitative, quantitative, to truly understand people. That's how I'd answer A, by the way, understanding. Empathy is really just understanding. And if you add to that compassion, then you've got something. In other words, most people barely tolerate the things we make. If you spend time with users the way I do.
Not the things you make.
That's right. But I'll use the global we. Most people are frustrated by technology. Most people can't stand it. They barely tolerate it. They don't want to do things, yet they have to. And that's the default. So that's why the human perspective in all of this fancy martech we do is important.
So off script here, putting you right on the spot. How much is AI part of your tool set at TrueMatter as a UX design agency?
It's huge, just like with anybody. So for instance, just a casual example is anytime we bring in someone under the age of, dear God, 22, they don't even conceive of anything without AI. So the tsunamis here, it really affects how we do things internally. It affects how we do our own processes. And our challenge, just like I think everyone else's, is to bring it in effectively instead of as a fun thing. Right.
All right. Thanks, Dean. All right, let's continue on that theme and get into the role of AI in these human-centric digital experiences. The man in the room who probably needs the least introduction, Lino Tadros, but Lino, do it anyway. Tell us what you're up to these days.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having fun, and I hope you enjoy the next 2 days. I've been using AI for almost 2 weeks now. No, just no. I actually lead a company that does a lot of the data and AI. I've been using AI for over 9 years, way before it became very sexy, helping a lot of companies do machine learning. And I'm really looking forward to your questions today. And also for the rest of the week, please find me and ask me whatever questions you want. I'll give you my best answer if I know it, all right?
All right, thanks, Lino. So you're in the hot seat here. We've got, wake up, everybody. Your questions to choose from are, how can AI enhance empathy? What's the right balance of automation and human oversight? And where have you seen AI create unintended bias? A topic I think we're all aware of, but I think there's some potentially tricky spots for that. So, who wants an answer to question A? All right, a few hands. Question B. Oh, that's a kind of a tie. I might be tipping closer to B. C. I think it's a toss-up between A and B there, Lino. B, all right, we're going with B. So what's the right balance of automation and human oversight? Your comments on that, sir?
Major question. So from my experience, actually, these two words, the word automation and the word human, end up getting defined by two things: efficiency, and that always has to do with automation. And when we talk about human, it's about judgment. So remember these two words: judgment and efficiency. Automation is about efficiency. Human is about judgment, okay? How many people here heard of the word or the words human in the loop? Excellent. So as a matter of fact, there are 3 different categories. There is one called human in the loop, there is one called human on the loop, and there is human out of the loop. And these 3 have been available completely for a while now. So you have to understand really when do you automate things and let it go and let AI do its thing, and when it requires human to be aware or completely have to approve. So Human in the loop, that means I have to approve. It cannot complete its job before a human approves it. That's human in the loop. Human on the loop means the AI can complete, but I have to be monitoring, and I can intervene whenever I want to if I don't like what the agent or agents are doing at any time. That's human on the loop, monitoring and intervening. Human out of the loop means we let the AI finish, but after a while, not during the execution of the decisions or the predictions, but later on, you have to do audits. You have to do audits to see if it did a pretty good job, if there is something that you have to really tweak a little bit to get it better. Maybe you didn't like the bias on that. So with my experiences, for instance, working with companies like KPMG and others to be able to help them create their AI and agents, we had to, for instance, they buy tens of thousands of mortgage folders every week. And it used to take between 7 to 9 days for a human being to make a decision whether that folder will get the loan or not. They have to take a look at their W-2s, the last 3 years of returns, their current salary, their family situation, their credit reports. They have to do a lot of these things. And then we take a look at how to bring in AI in and see how much we can get out of the 7 or 9 days, which costs the company a lot of money and the wait and all that stuff. So we actually had to do not just AI, but machine learning to be able to predict a percentage. And we said, if the percentage goes above 85%, that's an automatic approval of the loan. If it's below that, it's decline. But what happens if it's 83 or 84%? Then it needs to go to a human to make the final decision, all right? So it's too close to call, all right? So the issue is that it went from 7 to 9 days to 3.5 minutes to go through 10,000 files and being able to make decisions who's above 85%, who's below, and then the one maybe will have maybe 500 of the 10,000 that require somebody to take a look at it as a human in the loop kind of thing. So these are the things that you'll have to decide on. When do you actually make the human in the loop part, or just monitoring from afar, or doing audits every once in a while for the prediction itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that answer and the way you broke it down by that kind of perspective. So my follow-up question there is, AI kind of showed up and it injected itself into our workflows very quickly, and then you described a scenario of that sort of balance of human oversight. Is the pace, from your perspective, of, or not, maybe not the pace, but the requirement for that human oversight lessening, or have we already reached a saturation point where we're like, you know what, no, we always are going to probably be evaluating everything at that 85% mark? Like, are we moving towards a P-doom here, or?
Folks, I hope I'm not going to scare you about this, but we are in the infancy of AI. We are in the infancy time of AI. I can't tell you what's going to happen 5 years from now, heck, 10 years from now, I have no idea. But in the next couple of years, this is going to get way better, and less human in the loop will be needed at all. All right, so a lot of people are very scared about their jobs, whether you're a developer or, God forbid, a tester. All that stuff is going to be replaced pretty much for 90% of the job in the next couple of years. You talk to a lot of people, and they don't want to scare people, and they don't want to tell them, like, no, that's not true. It's a companion. It's just going to help you. If I can actually tell my AI, hey, this is my website, maybe written in Sitefinity, and I would like you to write automation tests for the entire navigation system, and I would like you to run tests for all the pages on the page, and you push a button, and the AI goes and creates like 100 and 150 different automation tests that are 90% correct. That is scary for testers out there. This is happening today. And you can actually use some MCPs from Playwright to go against Sitefinity, give it some more information about how Sitefinity works, for instance, and it will do the job very, very well. Today, you can actually tell it to create websites. You can actually tell it how you want to do the widgets, how do you want to do the modules, and 90%. It's never going to be 100%, at least for now. That's why I'm saying we're in the infancy. What happens a couple of years from now is going to go above the 90%. It's going to get better and better. The models are going to get smarter and smarter. They're going to be trained with a lot more data, and it's going to be pretty much something that everybody have to use in their industry.
All right, so it's lunchtime now. Thank you, Lino. Let's get into craft and craftsmanship, where maybe we will put a little bit more balance in that boat. you want to give Todd the mic because he's about to be on the hot seat here.
Scott doesn't like to give up his mic.
Are you kidding? Have you met me? All right, folks. So our 3 questions to choose from. Here we go. Won't human-centered design slow down speed to market, or doesn't it already? B, what role does consistency play in building digital trust? What role does storytelling play in elevating a digital journey? Show of hands, who wants an answer to the first question, question A? One person, all right.
There's 2.
What role does consistency play? A few more votes.
Folks.
What role does storytelling play? All right.
Storytelling.
All right. Hot topic. Take it away,
right.
Todd.
Well, I don't know that I have the ultimate answer here. And yes, I forgot my shirt, okay? Lino is not letting me forget that. I think the main thing, there's probably a lot of ways you could talk about this, but I think the main thing, and especially in light of what we've been discussing here, is storytelling puts a human element back into the digital journey. And that's what, I think is in danger with a lot of the things we've been talking about with AI and all. You don't get a human element at all with responses from ChatGPT or whatever. So storytelling, especially for your brand, I think is really important so that people can connect with your brand on a human level, and that will, I think, contribute to that journey the best.
So we've been hearing already about sort of journeys being, as Neil was saying this morning, liquid. They're a bit fractured, I suppose. We're talking about digital journeys. Any comment on how you tell a story that's classically a linear piece of content, a linear expression, into something that is therefore a digital experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's obviously it has to be broken down into pieces, right? You've got to tell your story through consistent visuals, through consistent tones and messaging, and it's got to be. You're not going to get the opportunity to tell a long form story very often in the way content is consumed. So you're going to have to, divvy that up into consistent, which kind of goes back to maybe B a little bit, consistency in how you present yourself and how your branding is presented, so that you can present your story in short form as well as long form.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I guess it's my turn. I got given the looking forward category here. So the questions that you can choose from here: what excites you about the next wave of AI? I guess what excites me. What's one piece of advice for a more human-centered, experiences? Or what do you hope we will be doing differently in a year from now? All right, so who wants the answer to A? All right. B? A few more hands. C? What was the balance there? B? I think I can probably blend my comments to address B and C here. I think it's a theme that's already sort of been touched on here, but the classic model for developing digital experiences was trying to drive ROI, trying to arrive at conversions, trying to be very goal-oriented. I don't think that changes. I think we still have to justify our existence, and I mean, there's been some conversation about sort of redefining what it is to measure ROI. I don't know how you can do that. It's ultimately, is my revenue higher than my cost? That's the equation as far as I'm aware. But I understand the point that was being made. It's a different way of thinking about how we're measuring value, and so my point here is to get a more human-centered experiences, and therefore I hope that in a year from now we will be doing more human-centered experiences. And to me, that means that we can let AI do the rote things, that we can have it automate workflows, and there will be some disruption to jobs and employment on that front. But I think it just redirects where we get to put our energy. And so I really do think that to inject more of a human-centered focus on our digital experiences, we get to focus on care instead of on conversions. Because the AI is going to define that for us and help us understand those journeys and those user paths very quickly. And therefore, the rest of us get to think about what it means to nurture that journey, to meet that user where they are, to be hyper-personalized and specific to each person that is engaging with our content. So for whatever that's worth, I hope that we're all doing that a year from now, and that will create more human-centered experiences. All right, well, that is your panel discussion on human-centered design. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, I often, am advocating to pursue features or parts of features that go a little bit beyond, MVP, and maybe that's pushing into like advocating for more human-centered design. But I got to tie those to a metric to get them prioritized. Sometimes we look at like CSAT or NPS, but those are kind of lagging indicators and hard to get on a roadmap. Do you guys have like metrics or KPIs that you often call to help you get that sort of stuff prioritized?
So how do we measure what sort of features go into an MVP, or how to advance past an MVP?
Yeah, how do you help advocate for pushing the envelope toward getting more into the human-centered?
Okay, I like it. Who wants to take that question?
I can take a first stab at it.
Go for it.
So what we offer in our company is something called ADSs, which is architecture design sessions. Because what we found, and you might laugh about this, but what we found is always the CEO of a company will be reading a magazine, and he sees AI, goes back to the company, says like, what are we doing for AI? Nothing. Okay, we have to. Although it says that in the magazine, we have to have AI. So the problem is that they don't really know what use cases will help the company. Like a lot of people actually do it for cuteness. It doesn't bring any ROI. So an ADS session is 3 to 5 days where we sit down with the C-levels, with the architects, with directors of the company on the whiteboard and try to understand what they have, what their wish list is, what would be something that AI will help them with. And instead of overwhelming them with like 15 different things, we choose 2 use cases that they can start with to bring ROI. Otherwise, they will start getting into fights like, oh, we need to do this one first before this one, and it becomes like that. But you need to actually pinpoint 2 different use cases in the company where they can start and they can measure in 3 months whether it made the difference for the marketing team, for the executive team, from whatever. But to create an MVP, for instance, you have to pinpoint 1 or 2 use cases and measure it before you keep going. You cannot start so many different AI projects and not knowing which one actually made a difference and which one you should put more budget in the next quarter and so on. Make sense?
Yeah, go ahead.
I love your question because we get this question all the time. Oh, so you want to make something fancy and human-centered? Yeah, well, how does that help me? Fortunately, when you're focusing on human-centered stuff, I would dispense with all the lofty language, right, and hunker right down on what you need. So you can always, first of all, you should have a good reason for anything you do, right? That's sort of a mantra we have. And a reason is always attached to something that will be better. So we track things like efficiency, productivity, and satisfaction are 3 really core areas that you can track, and you can track them through enhanced, in other words, I made this better a better experience for someone, and I'm going to track that it's right. I can say that their task success rate, I can find out what that is, and I can track that. I can track time per task. You could definitely, I mean, we're all in martech. We understand how to track satisfaction, but more to that, we could also look at behavior and correlate it to things like time per task or all that sort of stuff. Basically, creating stuff that's better for people is, you can really sink your teeth into proving it. And I agree, Lino, this is what we do as well. We'll spend a lot of time hitting those things up front so that later we're not having to always do the horrible thing, which is to say, I just wanted to make this a little bit better, and everyone's like, well, how does that help?